Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the order the Village Board meeting of the Village of Westchester. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018. We're in the Village Hall Boardroom. It is now 7 o'clock. May we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, Stan.
Trustee Calcagno.
Present.
Trustee Celestino.
Present.
Trustee Miller.
Present.
Trustee Perry. Trustee Stecker.
Present.
Trustee Yurkovich.
Present.
President Gattuso.
Present. Moving down to number 4, presentations. I do not believe there is any tonight. And if we will, we'll go into number 5, public comment. If anyone would like to come and address the board, please step forward and state your name. So at this point in time, please come on up, guys.
I've never done this before, have I?
That way.
Over there.
You can go anywhere you want to go. It doesn't matter. We'll hear you.
I have some notes just so I don't forget anything. Good evening, my name is Kathy Karetko. I'm a Westchester resident. I've been a Westchester resident for approximately 13 years, and I'm here tonight, like many others, to ask this board to do what's best for the village and to hire Frank Perry as village manager. I had the opportunity to read through the job description that was posted, and the first time I read through it, I thought this is a no-brainer. This board is going to have a difficult time not being excited about hiring Frank for village manager. And then I read through it even closer and went through point by point and compared that to his resume and his background and history of what I know of him, and couldn't find one part of that job description that Frank didn't fit or that Frank wouldn't excel at. Frank's passion for serving this town shows through, and I think is obvious to all those that interact with him. He is, and for a long time has been, that person that residents go to when they have a question, when they have a problem, a complaint, or just an idea that they want to run by him. Frank truly listens to the residents, and they see that. He responds to them. Frank is not only qualified for this position, but he's honest and committing to doing what's best for this village. Obviously, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I know that this board has received numerous emails, calls, all in support of Frank for village manager. In just a short time over the past few days, and with very minimal efforts, and reaching out to a very small portion of the community, the petition in support of Frank as village manager has received over 250 signatures. In addition to the confidence of the residents in Frank's abilities, I know that at least one trustee feels that Frank is qualified to be village manager, as evidenced by his letter of recommendation for Frank for another village manager position in a town much larger than ours. It's my understanding that in addition to the village manager vacancy, we also have a finance director position vacancy, which is concerning to me because given that we have no finance director and budget time is approaching, I think it's even more critical that we have someone who's been through this process, who's familiar with the budget of the village, the contracts of the village, the expenses, and any revenues associated with the village. He wouldn't need to get up to speed. He's familiar with our finances. I could go on and on with reason after reason of why I feel that Frank is the best choice for the village, but I know that there's a time limit here. So given all the things that I've mentioned, and given that Frank has the support of the residents for this position, I have to ask this board, why are you against hiring Frank for village manager?
I don't believe that one thing that we have a process. We did the process. We turned it to West Central. We had a third party get involved in this. And there was a strategic planning meeting that we had. And in that process, everyone agreed to go and let an outside source do all the resumes and bring in their best candidates. Okay, so at that point in time, that's where it stood, and till today, okay, it's been there. We just got resumes, and everybody's resumes have come back to us a little while back. I don't know how long, maybe, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, I'm not sure when we got everything, but the time frame of when we got all the resumes, and their recommendation of who to pick was in there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we could go with their recommendations. We can go with any one of the 21 applications that were given to us. So it's basically at that process right now. That's where we're at, in the process.
So have you selected any candidates to be interviewed thus far, or to meet with?
There is 2 candidates tonight that were selected from the West Central group, and those are 2 candidates that will be up for some kind of interview tonight in executive session.
Okay, and will Frank be called to be interviewed and considered for this position?
Again, it's up to us and the board here to make that decision at that point in time. I do believe that at one point in time when Frank did apply as a sitting trustee, that there is some kind of a law, and Mike, I think this is where you can step in, and, because you're better at law than I am, so if you would state to everyone that when Frank applied, what happened.
The West Central Municipal Conference attorney reached out to Trustee Perry, sending him a letter pointing out that there's a statute. It's called the Public Officers Prohibited Activities Act. It prohibits a elected or appointed village officer from having an interest in any work or business of the village while that person is holding office. And West Central Municipal Conference attorney asked Trustee Perry to have a private attorney render an opinion with regard to whether Mr. Perry's application ran afoul of that statute. Some correspondence was exchanged between Mr. Perry's attorney and the West Central's attorney. The attorney for Trustee Perry asked for an extension to respond until December 5th. It's my understanding that no response was received by West Central Municipal Conference. I myself had a conversation with that attorney, Trustee Perry's attorney, in which I informed him that back in 1985, the Illinois Appellate Court, in a very similar circumstance, ruled that the appointment of a village administrator, not a village manager, but a village administrator, the appointment of a person sitting on the board who refrained from voting was void because that violated that particular statute.
What was the case?
It's called, one second please, it's Mulligan versus the Village of Bradley, Mulligan versus the Village of Bradley. Bradley's a suburb that's in the vicinity of Kankakee.
I did actually have the opportunity to read that case, and in that case, the village president in that situation was the individual who, I don't believe it's a similar situation, because he was creating a position that didn't exist and that wasn't budgeted, and then encouraging his board to approve his appointment to that position.
I respectfully disagree with your recitation of the case. The fact that the office was created wasn't what the court declared as being void. It was giving the position to that village president who, yes, did not vote. The court said even though you didn't vote, you may have been called upon to vote on that matter, which is a conflict of interest both under that statute and at the common law. So the court said that position that was offered to that village president was void. Not the fact that they created a village administrator position, the fact that they offered it to someone who was an active sitting board member who refrained from voting.
I believe it did reference that the position wasn't budgeted, and that was part of the issue. However, the circumstances in which that case even came about was because he was later released, and then he in turn sued the village. So I don't see, if Frank were chosen, I don't see that being a similar circumstance.
Yes, you're right. The legal issue arose because after that village president was succeeded by another village president, that municipality moved to terminate that individual's employment. That ex-village president then sued the village of Bradley, and in defense, the village of Bradley raised that particular statute that what was entered into when that person was a sitting village president was a void contract. The Illinois Appellate Court sustained that position. And
Now-
it's my advice to my clients, this village board, that case controls in this situation. It should also be noted that a violation of that statute is a Class 4 felony. And there, I also pointed out to Trustee Perry's attorney that a similar situation, not involving a position of holding an office created by a municipality, but a DuPage County Forest Preserve Commissioner who was charged and convicted with a violation of that offense, even though he did not vote on a contract, and no contract was entered into for the Forest Preserve District to buy land that he owned. So my advice to
Well, that's a
this village
financial-
board is that there is a violation of that statute that could result in an appointment of Trustee Perry as being voided by the courts.
Well, let me ask you this question. Has anyone reached out to the attorney for the Village of North Riverside? Because they successfully appointed a sitting trustee as their village manager, village administrator, without that contract being voided or without their being...
You know what, I'm aware of several circumstances in which that occurred. None of those cases were challenged in court. My position is to advise my clients what the risks are, and that's what I've done here. With regard to that, the process was still vetted through the West Central Municipal Conference, and the candidates were recommended to the village board by the West Central Municipal Conference. It's my understanding that they had Trustee Perry's application, and they could or could not have recommended him. That was their choice.
Let me ask another question. Is anyone, are any of the candidates that are being considered known to this board or to any member of the folks here tonight?
I know one of the candidates, yes.
Okay, and that's...
I don't have a vote in this matter. Nobody's asked my opinion.
Well, you are giving an opinion, though.
Nobody has asked my opinion as to which candidate should be appointed to this position, nor have I ventured to render an
But to me,
opinion
that's a
on that.
conflict then, because you're advising the board on excluding a candidate.
Yes,
that would
ma'am,
be
I
in
certainly
position.
am.
So, to me, that's a conflict. I don't know. I mean, I hope that the board, I know, Carl, I know you listen to the residents. I would ask that the board truly listen to the residents and, Frank has a strong support. He's qualified, and I feel like if you guys really wanted to put him in there, you have the ability to do it. I mean, you can get a legal opinion elsewhere. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Anyone else would like to come up?
Good evening. Thank you, Kathy. You know what? I could say a ditto for what Kathy just went through, but I do have a couple of questions myself. This is an appointed position, correct?
By the Board of the Trustees.
By the Board and
By the Board of
Trustee.
Trustees, right.
Okay, and the candidates we have right now, I guess we're down to 5, correct? With all these legalities that this attorney was talking about, if you appointed him, what would have happened?
Appointed
Mr. Perry?
Mike.
What do you
Somebody
got?
could challenge that appointment, and
Who
it's
would
my-
have challenged? Who would have challenged it?
Any resident,
Okay.
any taxpayer, anybody that has any business with the village
Okay.
may have standing to challenge that.
So, in other words, if I'm a trustee, first of all, I have a little background. I don't have background in politics, thank God. I'm on the board of directors at the YMCA. I've been a resident of Westchester for the last 20 years, and I know the background of Mr. Perry and what he has done. I don't know all the legalities that you're talking about, and I do respect the board and what you do for our community. But what I don't understand, if you have someone in this community that serviced us for 20 years, and he's well respected by all of us, and you did your due diligence, which is fine, but why? Why did you have to do that when you have someone that's well respected and so on and so on? Didn't you like him? I mean, really answer me. Didn't you like him? Did someone have an in for him?
It's got nothing here that
Yes,
anyone
it
has
does.
an
Yes,
in
it
for.
does have something to do with it. Obviously, somebody, because if you would appoint him, hey, the president just appointed him. Fine, let's vote on it. Then if you decided not to go along with the vote, that's fine. Out of these 5 candidates, is any of them from this community?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, so you got someone coming in that's going to ask a lot of questions about what's going on. Here's a man that lived in this community for 20 years, lived in the same house for all these years, and where's he at? You're just going to let him go? Shame on you, and shame on the rest of the board if he isn't appointed at this position. I'm really disappointed. Thank you.
Sir, would you please fill out a sheet in the back?
Yeah, she gave it to you. That was-
Okay, thank you.
That's his wife up there. Anyone else? No one else? Yeah, anyone else?
I've been a member of this community for 44 years.
Joe, state your name for everybody, okay?
Name is Joe Bilner, 10711 Dorchester Street, Westchester. And I agree with the people that we signed that petition. Just to give you a good example, why I think sometimes Westchester, all these years, has been known as Deadchester. And the fact is that Mr. Perry should be given that position. I was looking for the remarks down there with Milligan and Bradley, and it's pretty long in my cell phone, so I couldn't read it all to challenge you, Mr. Attorney. But and first of all, my apologies for running late. I had to run a couple charters, and to let you know, I ran 24 charters to Puerto Rico during the catastrophe down there, working with UPS. And Danny, we took care of your people down there. But getting back to the issue, you know, I never really got a chance to talk to Frank, but I sat down with him and got his ideas and what have you. I don't know all his qualifications as a village manager. I brought up the ad for the village manager. I don't know all his qualifications. We did talk a lot, but I agree with the gentleman that spoke. This man's from our village, okay? My niece, Leanne Robinette, helps Gary Cassanders at the Park District, right? What do? We hire somebody from Batavia to come into our community. I don't know the gentleman. I don't know if it's a woman or a man. But we hired somebody from another town to come into our village. And that's why I feel our village is dying, because our people are moving out because they're not giving them opportunities. You know, it's very disappointing to me, and that's my opinion. As for the other things going on in the village to step aside with that, Officer Stelter, I appreciate the message you sent me by an email, okay? Paul, I sent you a message as soon as that shooting happened, and Officer Kasich backed it up. My daughter was 2 blocks away. She could have been shot. I sent you an email after that happened. No response.
Steve responds to it because I knew nothing
Not to
about
me.
it.
This was something different. I'm talking about the people that Officer Lukasik ran his SUV into them to stop the crime.
Well, I apologize. I thought
Okay.
Steve was going to answer that for us
No,
because
he-
I didn't know
sent
anything
it to
about
you,
that.
But nothing was done, Paul. I didn't even get an
Apologize.
acknowledgement from you.
I
Okay?
apologize, because usually Steve will answer those, because they come to the whole board, the police department, and everything
I
else.
sent it directly to you on your email.
Did you? Okay,
All
then I
right.
apologize for
You
missing
apologize,
that.
let's move on. There's some things is happening here. As the officer knows, Cermak Road and Roosevelt Road is now known as the Hillside Strangler. And the other day, we had somebody hit a little boy. I believe in back the badges. I want to see that get on some type of voting thing, because I respect our police officers and our firemen in this town, because they have done a lot for our village over the years, okay? And you need that. We need more police officers and firemen in this town. Whatever we need to do it now as soon as possible, okay? That little boy could have been hurt. My daughter was 2 blocks away from off her location. If I would have lost my daughter, I'm telling you, she's a heart transplant coordinator at Christ Hospital. She has saved a lot of lives. And and my daughter lives in Westchester. Three grandsons. You know, what happens if those 3 grandsons didn't have their mother because she got shot over here? What happens if Westchester girls softball or baseball was playing a game at Whips and they jumped that fence and they had guns in their hands? What happens if the officers didn't catch them and they come down to the park? We got to protect our parks. We got to protect this village. And a resident lives by me said, cars are coming down Cermak, making a left-hand turn on Mayfair, then making another right-hand turn on Dorchester and coming down Dorchester at about 50 miles an hour. You know, and you can stop it, you know, really start about 4:30, 5 o'clock, up to about maybe quarter to 6. They come speeding down there. And it's not only there, it's also over there on Canterbury. Because they come up and now they see Canterbury's closed at Manheim. Now they swing around, come up Mayfair, then back out of Dorchester, just to run through the community. And I think up there we should have no through streets. I don't know if you could do that, but it's sad. Somebody's going to get hurt again. That little boy, fortunately, he's okay. But it caused a lot of concern with a lot of residents in Westchester. Especially, I hear parents saying, well, I got to move out of here, man. This is dangerous. I got to worry about the high school and everything. You know, 92.5 is starting to see an increase in students. That's because of the superintendent they have there, okay? And I'm really happy to see that a lady that used to work for me at UPS, that's her stepson. And she lives in Nevada, and he's done a great job with the community. The people love him. They come up to him. The enrollment's increasing. That's what we need. So the other side of it is, I don't know if I'm bringing it up with the Chamber of Commerce or bringing it up with the Economic Development Committee. How did we lose Lou Malnati's to Broadview? You know, don't have to go into it, but think about it. You need people to develop and bring companies into this town. I brought Brain Labs into Westchester from Munich, Germany. I helped fellows get into this town. And Bob Marcadius from Ingredion. You know, we gotta do something in this community to bring people in here and not chase them out like a Frank Perry. He might pick up and leave because of this decision here. Okay? That's uncalled for. I don't know the man that well. Okay? I don't say I get along with him, but I heard him. Just like a couple years ago when the voting came out, I called this Maldonado guy. I says, I see you're running for trustee. I said, how about meet me over at Panera? He said, fine. I met him. The first question I asked him, Maldonado, that's Puerto Rican. You're Puerto Rican? He said, yes, I am. Who's the best baseball player to play the game? He said, Roberto Clemente. I said, I'll talk to you. Because I knew Roberto Clemente. Something that God put us on this earth to work together. And I firmly believe we got to do this in here in this village. Okay? That's my tune, and I'll get off of here, get off my soapbox here. And again, my apologies for running late here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else would like to come up?
Janine Dent. I've lived here 64 years, and I just have one question. To each of you on the board, why would you look for someone outside of our village to be appointed? Why would nobody else would care as much as someone who lives here? Someone who lives here cares about every single thing that happens. And if you have children here, you care twice as much. And to get somebody from somewhere else that was clinically chosen by a group that doesn't even know about Westchester, why would you reach out like that? I don't understand it at all, because they won't care as much. They don't have anything here that they need to protect. So why was that even done?
As I stated earlier, there was a process. Everybody agreed to go to a third party. If it was said that we didn't want to go to a third party, everyone on this board, including Frank, was here and said yes, to go to a third party.
Then we got the wrong board.
Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Verhuntsman, resident 30 years. Most of you know me, and if you don't, I apologize. You're probably better off. I want to make this as simple as possible. I've been being part of this town for 30 years. I have watched the nepotism, the Good Old Boys Club, and this town operate on who you know, not what you know. My bottom line here is the best candidate for the job and who has the village at heart and interest. Not who, all due respect to Frank and all your other candidates, we don't need another yes man. We need somebody who's going to question. And if you can't tell that's Frank Perry, well then I'm sorry. To me, it's a pretty simple decision there. But again, the corruption in the Good Old Boys Club and all that in this town needs to stop to make this town move forward. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, guys.
Excuse me, Mr. President. We've gotten 2 forms, people to speak tonight. 5 people spoke. I need 3 more forms to get into the minutes. Only 2 people are going to give you into minutes unless I get those other 3 forms.
Yeah, there's papers in the back, guys. Just fill them up and bring them up front, and we'll put them, we'll enter them into the minutes. Okay? All right, we're going to move on. We're moving on to number 6, the consent agenda. It's A and B. A is the approval of the record of bills from 1/23/2018 in the amount not to exceed $628,314.11. Under B, it's the approval of minutes from the January 9th, 2018 Village Board meeting and the January 9th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting. So we need a motion and second for the consent agenda to be approved.
So moved.
Motion made by trustee Miller, seconded by trustee Calcagno. Any discussion? If not, may we have a roll?
Trustee Calcagno.
Aye.
Trustee Celestino.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yurkovich.
Aye.
President Gattuso.
Aye. Moving down to 7, the active agenda. Under A, it's a resolution advising consent to the appointment of Bruce Horick to the Fire Pension Board. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been on the board for a while, so we're just reappointing him back to keep the Fire Pension Board whole again. So I'm asking for tonight for your approval for the Bruce Horick to stay on.
We need a motion to waive the committee of the whole.
And Mike has advised us we need a motion to waive the committee of the whole. Because it's a-
Second.
Okay, motion made by trustee Yurkovich, seconded by trustee Calcagno to waive the committee of the whole. Any other discussion on that? If not, may we have a roll?
Trustee Celestino.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yurkovich.
Aye.
Trustee Calcagno.
Aye.
President Gattuso.
Aye.
You can vote by acclamation.
All right, now for the appointment. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Somebody needs to move and second it.
So moved. Second.
Okay, that was Tommy and Nick, okay? Then all in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed? No, okay. Moving under B, the resolution for the acting village manager to close the village account 911 fund at the BMO Harris account. Jay, can you just reiterate a little bit on this?
Director explained better than I can.
Yes, due to the fact that the local ETSB was consolidated into the Proviso Leiden Township ETSB, we kept the funds that were part of last year's budget, as well as money that was there until July 1st, which is when the transition occurred. Those funds were now placed into our general fund account, but also used to pay for 911 related expenses that we deemed necessary. So basically the money is coming into the general fund based on purchases we made during a period of time. Because the fund had to close, we just wanted to place those funds back into the general fund.
Okay. We'll need a motion and second for this.
So moved.
Second. Need to waive the cow.
I was just gonna say, we're gonna waive the cog.
Yes, sir.
Motion to waive the committee of the whole for this.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Calgagno, seconded by trustee Stecker to waive the committee of the whole. We have a roll.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Stecker,
Aye.
trustee Yurkovich,
Aye.
trustee Calcagno,
Aye.
trustee Celestino,
Aye.
President Katuso.
Aye. Now on the original motion. We need a motion and second for it.
moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Yurkovich, seconded by trustee Stecker. Any discussion? Not, may we have another roll?
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yurkovich,
Aye.
trustee Calcagno,
Aye.
trustee Celestino,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
President Katuso.
Aye. Under C, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Cook, County of Cook and the Village of Westchester regarding the Sheriff's Work Alternative Program, which is SWAP. This one here is for when we have the Cook County Sheriff's Office with people of community service that they have to do, so we have to enter into an agreement with them for having them on our property to do work for us.
We need to waive the cow on this also.
And we also need to waive the cow on this. So we need a motion and second for that.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Miller, seconded by trustee Yurkovich to waive the committee of the whole for this. Stan?
Trustee Yurkovich,
Aye.
trustee Calcagno,
Aye.
trustee Celestino,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Stecker,
Aye.
President Katuso.
Aye. Now, we need the motion on the original one.
So moved.
Carl?
Second.
Second by Angelo. All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President, do you know how many people they'll be sending?
I think it's all on a per, when you call and when you schedule, there's, I don't think there's a set amount. It's like if they have a pool of 20, you know, and they got different areas, they split them up amongst all of us. It's not a set amount though, and it's, for all my years here, I never knew. Sometimes we got 20 guys, sometimes we got 4 guys, sometimes it doesn't matter, it doesn't, it's whoever they have, so. I didn't hear, who said? Yes, they are supervised, yes. Okay. Any other questions? Any other? Okay. May we have a roll?
Trustee Calcagno,
Aye.
trustee Celestino,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Stecker,
Aye.
trustee Yurkovich,
Aye.
President Katuso.
Aye. Moving down, number 8, managers report, Jay?
The first thing I have is there's a meeting scheduled on January 26th at 2 o'clock at the Metropolitan Water Information District of Greater Chicago. It's going to involve the villages of Northwood, Stone Park, Norwood Park, Bellwood, Broadview, and of course Westchester. This is the draft intergovernmental agreement that we're going to go through at this meeting that talks about the Addison Creek Channel improvement. We'll have more information, of course, to the board once this meeting is concluded. There's some disagreement in regards to the maintenance going further on this channel improvement, especially since it's being paid for by MWRD and none of the communities. But MWRD is trying to take the burden on the maintenance back to the community. So it's one of the issues that was raised by Robert, and most of the towns have also raised that issue. That's one of the items that they'll be discussing. But again, this will come back to the board once we get the IGA together. So this is just a matter of
3, we're gonna circulate that to all the board members. And then the park board meeting is kind of a get-together with all of the intergovernmental agencies here in Westchester, has been published. So feel free to attend, you're not in violation of anything.
Thank you. Any other staff? Robert, anything from you?
I believe I sent to all the board members that we have an active leak on the post office roof again. I did contact the contractor. It is under warranty, and he's sending a crew. Should be here Friday to make repairs.
So Robert, at what point, since I think this is the 3rd or 4th time since we put a new roof on?
Yeah.
The 5th, okay, at what point do we involve legal and, you know, the roof is no good? You know, brand new roof leaking 5 times, it's no good, period.
Robert, is
I mean,
it,
I don't have to be an engineer to, to figure that one out. So at what point do we recommend, you know, to legal that we look into this,
Is it the same spots?
yeah,
No.
that's my question. Where it's moved to somewhere else? Is it moved to somewhere else? It's not the same spot? It's not the drain, it's not the,
Right, each time it's another spot. Last time we had a 25-foot-long seam open up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they inspected the roof, they went through the whole process of saying that your roof is eligible for this system. Yeah, we saved a lot of money, the system's gonna last just as long as any conventional roof. We went ahead and did it, and here we are, 5 leaks later, 2 years, I believe, and we're still talking about leaks. And those poor people in the post office have to put up with that. I mean, that's, you know, at some point, I think,
Guess they call me first. I'm not aware of what they're putting up with, and
yeah, I
we
mean,
will be filing another complaint through their rental division, lease maintenance. I made the contractor aware of that. Also, they're concerned that it poses a slip and fall hazard for all their employees. They put us on notice for that as well.
Sure.
I forwarded that to the contractor and expressed a desire for him to immediately remediate the situation. Last time we had this, we reviewed the warranty with him and told him that this was unacceptable. And again, he said, don't worry, anytime there's a leak, we'll fix it. It's really up to you to say, this is enough, we want to take legal
yeah, I
action.
mean, I don't
It's not
believe
up-
that,
up
you know,
to
just because it's
staff.
under warranty and they're gonna fix it every time, it's still a hassle. It shouldn't be like that. We put a new roof on. We shouldn't have to be doing this,
Well, I agree.
you know, so.
what, how long is it gonna take for them to just tear it all off and do it all over again?
Well, that was our original recommendation, was to put a new roof on. The board had decided to use this other product.
I mean, they came out, they did coring samples, they did all this stuff, and said, yeah, your roof is eligible. They did infrared, I believe, and, you know, didn't find too much moisture under the roof, said, you know, you guys are eligible, this is a great roof to do this on. And they've done this in many other communities, we've heard good things about it, and here we are, our roof turns out not to be one of the good ones.
Yes.
Well, Robert, we also gotta look at the mold and stuff in there, because, you know, we are the landlord there, so let's make sure that there's some mold remediation being done in there.
On the last leak we did so, we made them buy a mold product and clean and spray. There's a underlayment of insulation on that roof, and then when that gets wet, it just sits there in a heated space, and it's not a good situation. They did remediate that last time at their cost. We'll be after them again for that.
Anything else? Melissa, anything other than your reports?
Nothing in addition to what's in my reports.
Board members, anybody?
Just a reminder, and I want to thank Carl and Paul for stopping out there tonight. The District 209 Proviso High Schools has been hosting a series, tonight was the second of a series of 4 meetings regarding facility improvements and a master facility plan for the district. So they've hired a new architect, new engineer. They're going through a process here to determine, you know, what needs to be done to the buildings, all three high schools. But I can say, you know, mostly Proviso East, Proviso West, They're looking for community support, or community involvement, I should say, which has been a little difficult. Until tonight, we had a really good turnout. Unfortunately, we had our own meeting here, so we had to cut out early. There is another one in March. They're posted on the website. I try to get it out on some of the social media sites as well. But if you know of anybody, if you're interested, these are our schools. It's, you know, if we don't get out there and try to support them or make them better, you know, it's on us too. So please look out for those.
Anybody else? Nothing? Nothing? Anybody else? Nothing? All right, well, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn by trustee Yurkovich, seconded by trustee Celestino.
Acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?